long as I don't have to move, I don't care. Secondly, there's racism that you can get around. That person really doesn't hold any sway over what you do or whatever. And then sometimes there's racism and sexism that you have to confront. And you'd be surprised what happens sometimes if you just say to somebody, "You have a problem with me? Do we need to talk about something?" Because we have to be careful not to infantilize women and minorities. At some point, you start taking care of yourself. Now, you learn how to do that from others who've gone through it. And that's why talking to people who've been through it is really, really important. But in the final analysis, it is your responsibility to make sure that nobody stands in your way. And unfortunately, we don't have a constitutional right not to be offended. We don't. You're going to meet offensive people. And if every time you meet an offensive person, it knocks you down, who has that hurt? Not the offensive person, you. And so, put on the armor and go out there and be good at what you do. And sooner or later, the constraints will start to fall away.
Good evening, Dr. Rice. I'm an international student from Cameroon, and I used to see you a lot on TV back home. So
yes,
nice
to see you too.
As an international student from Georgia, I'm interested in what future perspective do you see in my country, and if it has potential to keep following the Western path, or do you see a threat remaining of a post-Soviet country?
For Georgia?
Yes.
I think that Georgia has been quite remarkable since the Russian invasion in 2008. Georgia, look, it's sad that the country has been partitioned, Abkhazia, South Ossetia. That's unfortunate. Russia should be pressed. But I would continue to press for integration into Western institutions. I would continue to press for continued economic development. It's quite remarkable what has been achieved there. And it's, I was recently in Batumi, and this is a place that has come a long way. I've always thought that if Georgia now can pay attention to doing the right things economically, politically, strengthening its democracy, I'm a little worried about some of the fallout from the recent elections and people going after former opposition and the like. But in time, I think that this is a state that will actually do quite well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Rice, what are your thoughts on the controversy surrounding Benghazi?
Yes, well, there are really three elements in the Benghazi controversy. The first, I don't worry too much about. I know that the administration had several different stories about what was going on, and was it the video, or was it terrorist, and that happens. When you have kind of fog of war, the explanations get confused, and the intelligence agencies will tell you one thing one day and something else the next. So that doesn't bother me so much. What does worry me is that quite clearly the security situation on the ground was really, really bad on September 11th. The British had pulled out. The Red Cross had pulled out. The Red Cross doesn't pull out of any place. There had been fire bombings of the consulate. And the level of security alert was simply not high enough for the security situation on the ground. And how did you make a mistake like that, given the circumstances? That's our people were in harm's way because I think we didn't have enough security presence on the ground. And then the other question is what happened in that 7 to 9 hours or so when our people were under attack? Because since we didn't have the proper security alert, we also didn't have assets that could be brought to their defense. And is there really nothing we could have done in the 7 to 9 hours that our people were under attack? That, I think, is troubling. And those are, the latter two are things to which we do not yet have answers.
Hello, you answered my first question, and my second question was, and what is your favorite piece to play on the piano?
Oh, great. Well, my favorite piece to play on the piano is the Schumann A minor piano concerto. which I got to play with the Omaha Symphony last May. I played the first movement of it, and I was really excited because for the first time since I was 17, I played it without the music. I learned it all from memory and played it with it. So it's my favorite piece also because it went well. So you know how that is. If something goes well, then it becomes your favorite. But that's my favorite piece to play right now.
Thank you.
Good evening. My question is, what adjustments, if any, will you have to make in your schedule to watch enough college football so you can effectively select teams for the college football playoff?
Yes. Well, the college, and you should ask this of your wonderful athletic director, our chairman, our leader, Jeff Long, as well. Let me put it this way. I don't have to make many adjustments in my schedule because I watch a lot of football now.
Right.
I'll just watch it differently. I will certainly be watching with a keener eye. But I've been a huge football fan since I was long before I can remember. My dad was a football coach when I was born. I was supposed to be his All-American linebacker. He taught me about the sport instead, and so I've been a huge fan, and I might even end up watching less football than I do now because I watch a lot right now.
Thank you very much.
You may have touched on this already tonight, but who or what inspired you to work in the field of international affairs?
Yeah, my first inspiration was really Dr. Joseph Corbell, and I want to explain why. Because he was a Czech diplomat who had been first expelled by the Nazis and then expelled by the communists, and he had a wonderful way of storytelling about diplomacy and what it had been like. And he was a marvelously encouraging man. I remember when he said to me the first time, you should be a professor, and I thought, what? But he was someone who could make you see yourself in that role. And he very much inspired me. I was inspired also by George H.W. Bush, President 41, who taught me how to be kind, even if you are in a position of enormous power. You don't know how many small notes George H.W. Bush wrote to other leaders. Or I remember doing a memo for him and getting a note back that said, "Thank you very much for the memo." I didn't even remember what the memo was by that time because that's just the way he was. He's a kind man. Very fine president, very fine diplomat, but a kind man. So I've been fortunate to have a lot of inspirational people in my life, but in the final analysis, the greatest inspiration in my life were my parents, John and Angelina Rice. I wrote a book about them called Extraordinary Ordinary People, because in so many ways they were ordinary. My mom was a school teacher, and Daddy was an educator, a minister, football coach, but they were extraordinary in what they saw as possibilities for me. And somehow they passed it on, even under the limitations of Birmingham. And I really do thank God every night that I had the parents I had.
Thank you.
Dr. Rice, this is our final question of the evening. Since you're one of the first female members of the Augusta National Country Club, what is it like being a member, and what is your golf handicap?
Yeah. Well, my golf handicap may be a state secret. No, I will tell you. So, I love Augusta National. It is a tremendous tradition, and I believe in love tradition. It's a tradition that was cut off for a long time to people like me, but the great thing about the United States is we keep extending those benefits generation by generation to more and more people, and we the people means more and more of us, and that's true of places like Augusta too. I work at the Masters tournament because the members work at the tournament. I was, by the way, on the hospitality committee last year, and I look forward to going back next year. It's a golf experience. There's nothing quite like it. I took up golf quite late. I took up golf in 2005 in the summer. I was already Secretary of State. I had no time to play, but I'd gone on vacation, and I just loved the game. I took a lesson and loved the game, and so I decided if I could keep the ball moving forward, that when I got back to Stanford, I could actually get better. And so now, for those of you who are golfers, my index is about 11, which means that I'm a 13 or 14 handicap on most courses. But I played 2 weeks ago, and I had 3 birdies in a row. And there is nothing You know, I've done a lot of things in my life. I've been Secretary of State, I've been Provost of Stanford, but that may have been the happiest moment of my life. Thank you very much. It's great to be with you.